Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. I am Brent Chapman, and it is Monday, May 6th, and with me right there is the original Fab One, Jimmy King.
What's
Jimmy,
up, B?
what's up, man? You know what yesterday was, don't you?
Um, it was the day after May 4th.
Which is Cinco de Mayo.
What? I had never heard of it. I love a holiday where you could get out, enjoy nice weather, get some drinks, and kind of kick it. I must confess, I didn't have any drinks yesterday. I'm uh I'm trying
Did you
to
go though? Did you go to a nice Mexican restaurant or Tex-Mex restaurant like the Blue Goose Cantina? Or
unfortunately, I didn't. Usually, I do. This year, I didn't. I'm kind of shifting my diet a little bit, so I stayed away. It was painful, but that's what I'm on. I couldn't break it, even though it was Cinco de Mayo. I couldn't break it.
this was a pretty busy weekend. There was some fighting, which we'll get to. There was UFC. There was a big boxing match. You had Cinco de Mayo. There was some UFL. We had some Kentucky Derby this weekend, which we'll say for our Tuesday show because we got a lot of playoffs. Jimmy, I should have worn one of those hats
A
today.
sombrero?
It's
You're talking
not
about
a
not for Cinco de
sombrero.
Mayo, for Kentucky Derby. Oh
The
yeah,
Kentucky
that's
Derby.
what it's
No,
about.
you should have worn it. I have a sombrero.
Well, I need one. You got to hook me up, bro.
I will tell you what, Jimmy, for our Tuesday show, May 7th, I will wear a sombrero for the beginning of the show. No, I need one of those Kentucky Derby hats.
Yes,
I
yes,
don't have one of those.
yes. Well, I mean, you got to have you got the personality to go with it for sure. You could wear it definitely, but where you find one is the key. I think I have to ask my mom. She
I
might
think
have an
those
idea.
are exclusive. I think it's the girls that wear the cool
Right.
hats. What do the
Yeah.
guys wear? I don't even know
Yeah.
what the
With the
guy.
veil, would you wear the veil or just have
No,
like
no veil. No, I would
no
wear a
veil?
pimp cowboy hat or something. That's what I would go with. Well, Jimmy, we got a lot of basketball and some exciting things as you can see. I got my Mavs shirt on,
Yeah.
so I'm
Go
pumped about
Matt.
the Mavs winning. Go Mavs. But before we get into that, let's talk about Anthony Edwards and the Ant Man. Woo!
Ant-Man.
This dude had a career high 43 points and led his team to the game one victory against the Nuggets, the defending NBA champion Nuggets. The Wolves are up 1-0 in the series. They stole one in Denver. Was this a fluke, Jimmy? Or are
Absolutely
the
not.
Wolves for real?
Absolutely not. The Wolves are for real. Jokic and that team, they got, they got stung. They got punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson would say. And so now they got to come back with a plan. And the Ant-Man and that crew, they're hungry, they're young. I don't think they are taking it for granted what's going on. I think the moment is not escaping them. I think they understand the assignment. Rudy Gobert is a veteran who holds the middle down for the Wolves. Cat is doing his thing. He's very reliable. When it comes to down the stretch and leaning on him for big buckets. So I think the
Here's what
two
was
Timberwolves are for real.
here's what was impressive to me, Jimmy, is Cat wasn't there. Carl Anthony Towns was not in the game. He
Mhm,
was not in the game in the third quarter. He
mhm,
came in for about 30 seconds and got two fouls. So he went
mhm,
4 and 5. And then they
mhm.
just sat him. And I don't think he showed up to the end of the game. So most of this victory, this 106-99 game win, was Anthony Edwards and Gobert basically locking down Jokic. But here's what I was amazed by, and I'm curious on your thoughts on this. You got Anthony Edwards, who was a great player and took the game in his hands, right? And said,
Mhm.
I'm going to win this thing. But
Hmm.
dude, Rudy Gobert and Carl Anthony Towns is your 4-5. Who is going to stop that? I mean, Jokic maybe can handle one, but both.
But that's why it's so it's basketball. It's good to see kind of the old school play where you have two big men in there that you can't match up with, and not have the stretch fours and the stretch fives, and kind of the outside in basketball. So this also proves that there's a style of basketball that you can play that can cause a mismatch with big men. And that's the era I come from. Even though they do step out and they roam a little bit more, but positionless basketball can be positionless basketball with big men too.
I was not impressed with Cat when he was in the game. The dude, I'm sitting here watching, going, this guy is a massive beast, and he is standing out at the 3-point circle like he's Steph Curry. I'm
Right.
like, dude, get your
Mhm.
big body
That's right.
butt inside the paint and wiggle it around a little bit and make
That's
some
right.
room and get something done, bro.
Like even like Jokic, Jokic almost had a close to another triple double. Putting up big rebounds, big assist numbers. But he also floats outside. He plays outside a lot. He brings the ball up. He plays point forward center, if you will. So it's just the era that we're in right now. And to your point, I think that at times teams should have maybe like a, a package where they run a big squad and they play back
That's
with their
right.
backs to the basket and slow the game down, and that will kind of prolong or give your players longevity and give them a little time to rest instead of trying to be a little guard out there. That's why you got guys like Embiid getting hurt. These guys got to learn how to conserve their energy and not give up their power by playing small ball all the time.
That is true. Now, I will give you one of the people that I was most impressed with was Nas Reed. Holy moly. This guy, is he six man of the year or in contention for six man of the year?
Yes.
This guy is another just powerful, impactful player that's running all over the court and alley ooping and dunking. And Ant missed a shot that went off the rebound and he grabbed it one handed in the air
Right.
and slammed
Man,
it down. And I'm like, boom.
old school Dominique Wilkins style,
I
catching it
know,
off the
man.
rim. Oh yeah,
All
yeah. But
that to
Nas has been
say,
doing that. He's just on the stage now where there's not a lot of other options to see and or watch. But Nas has been doing this all season long. We've been watching his progression, kind of, mature to this state to where he's at.
Jimmy, I will say I definitely don't think it was a fluke that they won. I would say this is going to be an incredibly close series. And it's weird. I watch a lot of these games and a team gets up 12 and then another team gets up 9 and then that's not what this game was. This game was like between 3 and 4 points the whole game. It was back and
Mhm.
forth. And I have a feeling that's going to be the intensity of the entire series. The Nuggets are experienced and they're good and they've got lots. They're very deep.
A
I
lot of
think this is gonna
experience.
this is gonna go 6 or 7. But I
Absolutely.
think I think stealing one at home for the Wolves helps them out, which moves us into our next topic, which was a game 7 victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Magic. Donovan Mitchell has been
Spider.
on fire. Uh, should I do an NBA jam? He's on
In
fire.
fuego.
On fuego. Oh, a Cinco de Mayo. That's
That's
good.
right.
A
You know what I'm
little
saying?
little Spanish for
There
Cinco de
you
Mayo.
go.
I like it. He was in fuego. He scored 89 points in game 6
Woo.
and 7 combined. And they won game 7 pretty handedly, 106-94. What I was watching was they got in control in the fourth quarter and it was over. Do you think Donovan Mitchell can continue this hot streak, or is this kind of like an anomaly?
I think Well, Mitchell, particularly, I think he can continue the hot streak. I think it's hard to stop a guy like that. He has all the tools. He can handle, get to his spots, can shoot it. He's explosive. Uh, going to the hole. He makes his free throws. He gets to the line. He's a complete package. I think he can continue doing this, but I don't believe that they have enough firepower as a team to beat
Yeah.
the Celtics in a series. And I mean, I see a gentleman's sweep.
Unfortunately, he is he can put up 50 points in a game without a problem. The problem is where's the other 50 points
Correct.
coming from? Right.
Correct. I
Or
mean,
the other 70 points that you need.
yeah.
That would be my issue. The other thing I would say is um I think he's impressive, and I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think he can get a game or
They'll get
two.
a gentleman's sweep. They might get a game.
I
Four to
got you.
one is what I
Yeah.
see.
I would go with that then as well. I will say I want to talk about the Magic a little bit. I was disappointed, right? They were down 2-0. They fought back. They evened the series away. At home. They had to go back to Cleveland. And I watched the game, dude, and in the fourth quarter, they never got really close. They were down 9, 10 points in the fourth quarter, and it stayed that way. And
Mhm.
they just looked exhausted.
They did. They
Ben
did.
Ben Bencaro would bring the ball up, and it was him. I'm like, where
One,
is everybody else? Like, is there
they're
anybody that Cole Anthony would bring the ball up, dribble around, give it to Banchero? He'd drive to the hole and either fall over and lose the ball or get hit and throw it up and then go to the free throw line. It was like they had nothing. They
You
had
know what that
nothing in
is?
the fourth
You
quarter.
know what that is, B? They don't have the conditioning, right?
Oh,
They haven't been to this level and this deep before. So what happens is the physicality actually increases and the longevity, you obviously you keep going longer in the season. And for young players who don't have that experience, it's a lot on their bodies. And that's why they look tired. I saw exactly what you saw and I was laughing to myself because I was like, it's subtle, but you still making the same moves in your mind, but your legs are a little bit more
yeah.
fatigued. You're not getting a little that lift you need on your jump
Where's the
shot.
I don't know if they have the depth. Where's the other
Right,
star? Where's the
right.
Luca to Kyrie or the Cat
You
and
got to develop
Gobert
it and or
or Nas
trade in the
to,
off season to get it.
yet they didn't. It was like they play well as a team, but when you're down 9 with 10 minutes left, you got to give the ball to somebody that's going to take it. And Banchero just every drive, and he was just flat exhausted. There was
Yeah, and my
there
guys
needed
and
to be another guy there to help him.
my German guys were a little fatigued as well. The Wagner brothers are, that's why I'm supporting my Michigan family.
There we go. Uh,
And
well,
shout out to my
go,
nephew too, little young Howard, who's also on that Magic team.
he played well, right? So this is so now moving along to the most important topic of the show, Jimmy, right here. Our guys, the
That's right.
Dallas Mavericks, went into game 6 in LA and said, I don't care if you have James Harden or Russell Westbrook or who else of the 2007 NBA All-Star team. It doesn't
Wow.
matter. We have Luka and we have Kyrie, and we're going to dominate and we're going to win this game. And that's exactly what they did. Now, this is a bold question, Jimmy, but do the Mavs have the best 1-2 punch remaining in the playoffs with Luka and Kyrie Irving? I got you, bro.
Ooh. Yes. By
Yes.
far. I don't believe that there's any other duo that's more prolific in scoring than those two. I mean,
Jokic and
Kyrie
Murray.
Irving, yeah,
Jokic and Murray. Ant
mean,
and
no.
Cat,
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Tatum
Now
and
they've
somebody.
proven that they could get 50. Murray will give you 50 in a minute, but Luca will also give you 50, maybe 60 in a minute. And and Kyrie gives you that. Not only does he score, like for instance, the other night, I think he had 3 points at halftime, maybe 5 points, and he ended up with 30, leading the team. Like
Yeah, that
guys like that has that explosive ability to carry a team and that have the clutch gene that's not afraid to take the shot is lethal. So to answer your question, I'm going with they're the coldest right now left in the league in the
and,
playoffs.
and I gotta tell you, I think this goes back to what we were just talking about with Banchero, right? Luca is expected to carry and lead that team,
Mm-hmm.
just like Banchero. The
Mm-hmm.
difference is when Luca's like, all right, gets a little tired, or there has to be another guy to
Another
step
guy.
up. Boom,
Right.
30 points in the third and fourth quarter for Kyrie Irving, and Luca
Right.
just kind of stands there and does his normal thing, and then Kyrie takes over. Like it is really, really hard when you got two guys that can go like that the whole game. And I thought the Clippers had that, but when Kawhi Leonard went out, they just didn't. Maybe in 2007 they had it with those guys, but
Mm-hmm.
those guys weren't on the same team in 2007. I got one other thing for you, Jimmy, that I gotta say that was impressive.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving in Game 7, or sorry, Kyrie Irving when clinching a series in his career is 13-0.
Yeah. That's what I said. He has the clutch gene. And I didn't know that. I had no idea that he was 13-0. I just know from what I see that he makes the shot and or takes the shot and makes the shot. Like he's not afraid to step up in that moment. I don't recall him rarely missing, and thanks for giving me that stat because obviously he doesn't. That guy is he puts the team on his back, and I remember that. I remember I know what I saw with my own eyes when he was a Cleveland Cavalier with LeBron James, and he also made the shot to put them over the top to win
Yep.
that championship. I remember that, Kyrie.
Jimmy, I did not like this trade when it happened last year. I just didn't
I don't think a lot of people did.
I just didn't see how Kyrie Irving, who only played half a season and was always banged up and always whining about this and that and and didn't really seem like a team guy, was going to fit in with a star. And boy was I wrong.
Well,
And maybe it just was the maturity thing and it finally clicked in his head after all these years. But there was a quote that he made about Luka's our guy. My job is to play defense. Did you see this guy playing defense? This this looked like a young guy running around playing like a dog. He was on him tight. In the NBA, when you're Kyrie Irving, you're taking plays off, you're resting, you're kind of playing this shadow D around the guy like you're at a slow dance with him, right?
no, that's what the real
Kyrie was
greats
a
do.
dog in
No, that's
game
what the
6.
real greats do. Kawhi Leonard played both sides of the ball. Kyrie plays both sides of the ball. That's what the real great ones do. They play both sides. They're not just one dimensional. So the opportunity that Kyrie got coming here, I think it was a lot of skepticism when he first came. But me personally, I felt like that's exactly what Luca needed. I remember talking to my friends and people just in the area about the trade when it happened, and everybody kind of had the same concern, like how is this going to work? But from my experience, guys like Kyrie who are selfless, that's the reason why he was so successful with LeBron. I think he just got tired of playing in the shadow and taking the blame
Yeah.
and from all the losses and not getting the glory. I think that just weighed on him, and that's why he cut out of Cleveland. But
And
this environment seems to be
that's
like home. They
and
you can
I
tell they
think
look
you
like they're
gotta,
having fun. They're smiling while they're winning. They're high fiving. The energy is just bouncing off the walls when you go, down to American Airlines Arena and watch them play. So it's amazing what they're doing.
I got you. I mean, I really like to watch in the playoffs the swagger of the teams. When you get to this point, you can really just see on the court who's got it.
Hmm.
I think the Mavs have got it.
Yeah,
And I think Kyrie, to your point, and we'll move on to the next topic here in a minute, is Kyrie, um, it's maturation. Life is a journey. He
correct.
learned a lot in LeBron, and then he wanted to be
Yes.
the guy.
Hmm.
And so he went to a couple places and tried to be the guy. And maybe now he got to the Mavs and then he realized, wait a minute, I know how to do this. I did this at the beginning of my career. I can
Correct.
be a stud defender. I can score when I needed. And he's the guy now. I mean, he's the real reason they're successful. Luka's great and he's the team, but Kyrie is the reason.
And
So moving along to our next topic, the Pacers advanced and the Knicks advanced. And so now the Pacers 6th seed play the two Knicks in the for an opportunity to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. Do the underdog Pacers have a chance in this series? Do you think not do they have a chance, will they beat the Knicks?
you always have a chance, right? That's why you play the
That's
game.
why I didn't
You have
say a
a
chance. Of
series,
course they have a chance.
right? Just like you say you always have a chance, but I don't believe that the Pacers. Let me put it this way. I believe that the Knicks are are on a different level when it
Level.
comes to focus and um, pulling out games. I believe that all these games that they play, the Knicks and Pacers play, can go either one or two ways. They're either going to be extremely tight or it's going to be a blowout, one-sided, one way or the other, and it's going to go to 7 games. And at the end of that, I believe the Knicks are going to pull it out, not because of more talent. I just think that they are more in tune as a team. I believe that the teams are pretty much even. But the big players who they rely on, like Halliburton and Brunson, um, it's going to come down to them two. And I'm going with Jalen Brunson for my dark horse MVP.
Well, I will agree with you and that I think the Knicks will win the series. But I will say I don't think either team is going to have a chance in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they both have flaws. I
Hmm.
think the Pacers got incredibly lucky
Hmm.
to get a banged up Damian Lillard
Milwaukee team. That's
and
right.
Giannis
Absolutely.
Antetokounmpo. I can't say his
Yeah.
name. Uh,
Antetokounmpo.
okay, we'll let you handle that in future shows. They got a blessing from the basketball gods to
Yes.
have that matchup, and they
Yes.
barely got by uh, a 76-year-old Pat Beverly and and to advance. And then the Knicks, I watched the Knicks, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about some of these other teams. Jalen Brunson is like Donovan Mitchell. He's great. He's one guy.
Yes.
I just don't see it. Who do they have? Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, he's okay. They got some good role players, but when it comes down to it, can Brunson do it all? I think it'll be pretty easy. I'm gonna go. They're gonna win this in 5 games. I
Well,
think this. I don't think
I,
this is gonna be close.
I
I
was I was going to say, yep. I
4 or
was
5.
going to give the Pacers 6 because I think they play hard and they have the ability to score in bunches and score pretty high.
Right.
But I believe it's going to be 5 or 6 games, and the Knicks are going to wear them down. They're much bigger. They're stronger, and this the small ball that the Pacers kind of play.
It's not going
Um,
to work.
it's not
It's
going to
not.
work.
It's not going to work against the Knicks. And Brunson is just give him the ball. I mean, he'll win the 4 games on his own. Uh, Jimmy, that's it for basketball in today's show. Now we're moving to some different things. The King and Chapman show isn't just football and basketball.
That's
We
right.
we can talk everything, Jimmy.
That's right.
Now, as Jimmy knows, I went to high school in Detroit. I'm from Western New York originally, Buffalo. And Jimmy, I learned to skate before I learned to walk.
Well, I believe that.
Well,
That's a tough thing to do too.
we're going to talk about hockey. Now,
Yeah.
let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
The Boston Bruins went to 7 games with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, if you don't
Mhm.
know, the Maple Leafs are stacked. They're the team, they're the superstar team.
Oh
They've
yeah, I
got
played in
4
Toronto.
yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs have got the stars, right? Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and William Nylander and John Tavares, and it's kind of like a little bit younger version of the Clippers, right? They got all the stars,
Mhm.
and you know they got beat in overtime by the Boston Bruins. Um, and David Pasternak, right there, scored the game winning goal to win the game and take them to the next round. Um, Here's my question. Are you impressed by David beating Goliath in moving on to the next round? Or is this just kind of what happens?
I'm always impressed by watching hockey, watching guys skate that fast on ice. You know what hockey is to me? Hockey is basketball on ice. I love how the
Yeah.
players can spin, like do a 360. It's like a spin dribble. They dribble in between the legs with the puck, and they stop on a dime. They do crossovers. It's beautiful watching the sport. And yes, it was very impressive for the Bruins to beat such a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know how great of a team they are. I lived in Detroit most of my life, 30 plus years. I played in Toronto. I'm familiar with the game of hockey and how important it is
I'm
and
sure
how
you
tough
went
of
to
a
a
sport
few
it is.
Red Wings games when you went to the
Now,
Joe a
listen to
couple
this.
times.
This is after saying all of that, I've only been to 2 hockey games in
What?
my life. The first hockey game I ever went to was at Little Caesars Arena when it first opened. The very first Red Wings game,
The new
the
arena.
new arena.
I've never been there. I've only been to the
And
Joe, bro.
yeah, and so that was the first one that I went to live. And as great as a hockey team that we had at University of Michigan, I never went to Yost Arena for a hockey game. Never got a chance to see them live.
That's
But
amazing, Jimmy, because when you lived in Detroit, the Red Wings
oh
were
yeah,
one of the
oh
greatest franchises in history
oh yeah,
with
yeah,
Fedorov
Lindstrom,
and
oh yeah,
Yzerman and Brett Hall and
Eiserman,
all
that's
those
right.
guys.
Yeah, we had the crew, and they were kicking ass like that whole like 12-year span. But what's funny about that is I spent a lot of time with those guys on the golf course. So
I was gonna say, and I had a buddy who was, or I should say, I had a friend who was friends with Fedorov and owned a bar in Pontiac. So I spent a lot of time with those guys as well.
oh
Not
yeah,
on the golf course, Jimmy, in the VIP lounge.
oh yeah,
And there's some stories I got for you,
oh
bro.
I know. We got to share some stories one day. I got some stories too we could share.
I'd be willing to tell on air the story of when I got in a fight with Bobby Higginson.
That's awesome.
I think that was a great story.
That's
First
awesome.
of all, the
I got
guy
some
is
stories
about
too.
5'6".
Yeah, we going there, huh? I got some stories with Shaq. Um, Let's see who else. Yeah, I got some funny
Jimmy,
stories.
Jimmy, you're 5'6" to Shaq.
Correct. That's why I mentioned it. Can you imagine me just standing there looking at Shaq like what's up,
Well,
guy?
Jimmy, this is a great segue from Brent fighting a baseball player in a bar to the UFC 301. Wow, there was some great fights on Saturday in the UFC. The main fight, Alexander Pantoja beat Steve Erceg. I don't know if I got those names right. And I'll talk about that fight in a minute. But Jimmy, here's what was great about the event. The OGs won. The old guys were
That's right.
cleaning up in the UFC 301. The
Yeah.
veterans. What do you got
Yeah.
on that?
So let me
What
put
do
let me put on my let
you
me
say
put
about
on
that?
my UFC crown, right? So I did train a little
You
MMA.
did.
So
Oh,
let
now
me
here we
let me
go.
let me give you a little background on like
Talk to
how
me.
these things kind of work, right? So you get the young guys that come into the sport and they may have a meteoric rise or a steady rise or they just rising in general. And you got guys who've been around, been in the game for a while that aren't giving up. They may have some losses or struggled, here a little bit at time with other style fighters that they may not match up well against. Same thing in sports, right? Or basketball, football. Some guys you match up better with. And over time, as you become a more seasoned fighter, you can pick the weaknesses out for the younger fighters who may get a little full of themselves a little bit too fast. And that's what's happening. And that's why you got these old guys beating the young guys because the young guys are talented,
Dude,
but the older guys are smart. And so they know how to trap you or to trick you into getting you to tap out or submit.
and Jimmy, I gotta tell you, man, when we say old guys in UFC, I mean it's like
Right.
15
Like
fights
30.
as an old guy, right? At like 30. And like
Yeah,
you
like
don't you don't get a
32.
lot of fights in the UFC. But you're right. I mean, it's impressive. Uh Pantoja, won by decision, unanimous decision, and really dominated Erceg in the main event fight. And he retains the flyweight belt. All the judges were pretty much unanimously for Pantoja. But yeah, it's amazing to watch these guys. And if you're getting beat up that much and you can keep going, it's impressive to see the OGs. But Jimmy, the best part of this whole topic was I didn't know you did some UFC training.
Yeah. I did a little MMA training, because as an athlete, we always try to find things to challenge ourselves, and I wanted to, challenge myself. I felt like I was plateauing in my, workouts. I do my basketball workouts, I do swimming, I do boxing, I do football workouts, I do everything right, and track workouts, and I felt like I needed something else, so I got into MMA, and yeah, they wanted me to, get into the octagon for real, but I'm like, nah, man, I ain't.
You didn't get bit by the octagon bug.
Yeah,
You
I ain't
didn't
get bit
get,
by the octagon, but I'm not trying to get beat up on national TV.
they
And
told
like that,
me
I'm gonna have to kill you. Then I'm gonna really have to choke you out.
a few years ago, some quarterback coaches told my son that a lot of quarterbacks do boxing training,
Yes.
and he was actually pretty young at the time, and we did that, and it's incredible. Just the hand movement and the reflexes,
Mhm.
all that is very good for a quarterback.
And it's
It's
good to control you. The number one
correct.
thing too is control your breathing so
That's
that
right.
you are able to make decisions in
Yep.
a split second, right? In a calm manner. And your head is much clearer and you can,
A lot of
clear.
people might not know that a part of quarterback training is they'll get them in boxing and they'll get them punching
Mhm.
bags and they'll get them with a boxing trainer to learn that
Absolutely.
rhythm and reflex and
Yep.
breathing. And so, well, Jimmy, that was a full show. That was a great show. Thank you. We are moved on to our last topic, which is just the last word. I have a great last word, but I want you to go first. What do you got for us today?
My is My last word is Luca and Kyrie are definitely the best 1-2 punch in the NBA left, without question.
Do you
And I'm not
think
just
they
being a
can?
homer.
Do you think they can do it, Jimmy? Does it feel good to you this year? They have a
It does
shot.
feel
I know
good.
the West is tough.
The
The
West is
West
tough.
is
I mean,
tough.
regardless, they're going to beat each other up. The
Yeah.
teams are deep. You got, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves. You got
They got to beat the
Oklahoma.
Thunder before they.
Right. You got, I mean, Oklahoma City. They're the top seed. And nobody's talked about them. So it's
It's
tough.
tough.
However, I think that at this point stage of the game, um, they've seen each other all year, and now it's nut check time, right? You just gotta lay it out on the field,
I like
on the
the
court.
Mavs, but I do agree with you. Whichever team escapes from the West, it's going to be a battle, and then they got to play the Celtics, who are going to have a pretty easy sort of walk to the finals. So
That could be to their
definitely not as
detriment, though. We'll
competitive.
see.
So my last word, Jimmy, is you're going to love this. He did it again, Jimmy. He freaking did it again. Jake Bates, the kicker for the UFL Michigan Panthers, hit another
Another
60-yard field goal.
what?
Kicked
I missed that one.
kicked 5 field goals in the game and hit the game winner 47-yarder as time was expiring
Call
to
the
win
guy
the
up.
game. He
What
did
else
it
you got to do? Call him up.
third
Let's
game
go
winning play,
NFL. There's
third
somebody on the roster that
yard.
needs a guy like that right now,
Dude,
today. There's
this guy,
nobody that's kicking 60-footers consistently in the NFL.
Jimmy, let me ask you this question. Has a free agent kicker ever come in as the highest paid kicker in the league? Pay that man.
You know what? Great question. I'm gonna have to do the research. All I know is that the highest kicker that I remember is Janikowski, that was drafted high
Yeah, first
back
round,
in the
yeah.
90s
Yeah.
for the Oakland Raiders. And he
I
was paid.
say pay that man. There is going to be a bidding war. Hey, Jimmy, you know where I live in the NFL world. You might recall, but the Bills season ended on a wide right field
Kick.
goal.
Yes.
Get this, bro. Get
Get
this.
him on the
Let's
line right
go.
now.
He's
All he
kicking
has
in
to do is
Michigan.
listen. He goes right through. He can even drive. He
Yeah,
just
he
takes
drives right
the
over there.
405
Yeah,
right through
the,
Toronto,
the
straight over to
QEW, Queen
Buffalo.
Elizabeth's Way, right through Canada, through
Take a couple of
Ontario. Let's
ferries.
go. That's right.
He's already there.
Jimmy,
Hey,
that
look,
was a
look. This is what we got to do, B. Me and you. We're gonna go back to back to Detroit. We're gonna pick homie up, and we're gonna drive him to the Bills practice
here's what
facility.
we got. You know, Jimmy, we do eventually want to have guests on the show. We've got to see if we can get Jake Bates on the show. That's what
We're
I'm
gonna
going to
work
try
on
to
it.
do.
Got it.
I think he can be the first guest ever on the history of the King and Chapman show. That's what we need. Jimmy,
Done
thank you
deal.
so
We're
much.
working on it right now.
That's right. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone, for watching. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.